equipping people with tools and strategies that enable them to fulfill the limitless potential that's within each of us to handle the adversity that we all inevitably face, right? And people that don't have tools and strategies, like if I didn't have the 5-minute rule, strategy/tool, I don't know what I would have done.
I am so honored and privileged that you have chosen to join me here today for this episode, and I know you are not going to regret it because this one is a very, very special one. If you've come here because you want to grow a business, you want to shift and change your life for the better, you want to step into being the best version of yourself you can be, well, this, my friend, is certainly an episode for you. I'm going to tell you a little secret. There are a list of people out there that I have got on my must-meet list, people who have impacted my life that I would love to personally meet and introduce to my friends. That's you. And this is one of those people who I've wanted to meet for a very long time, who has changed and shifted my life for the better by stepping into the best version of himself. Today, I got the honor and privilege of introducing you and interviewing the amazing Hal Elrod, author of the best-selling book, The Miracle Morning. Hal has lived a life that would have broken most people, and yet he's found a way to shift his perspective and his vision for his life to not only live the best version of his own life, but to impact the lives of millions of people out there in the world by sharing the strategies, the story, the processes that he used to overcome incredible obstacles, from witnessing the death of his own sister through to dying at the scene of a car crash where he was hit head on by a drunken driver at just 20 years old, going through a cancer battle where he literally beat the odds that were well and truly stacked up against him. Hal has many times over experienced things that most people would have sat back and thrown their hands up at. And instead, he found ways through incredible strategies to not just get through these experiences, but to come out better and to live an unbelievable life. I am so honored to be able to share with you part of this story that Hal will share in this episode today, but also some of the amazing strategies that he's implemented that he openly shares with us in this episode. So from me to you today, don't just listen to the words that are spoken and gain more knowledge, but take notes and ask yourself off the back of this episode, what is the one thing that I can implement today so that I can take what I've learned from Hal and I can use it to improve my own life, grow myself, and be the best version of myself that I can be tomorrow. Remember, it's not about climbing a mountain. It's about a 1-degree shift every day. I love what Hal shares in this episode, so I'm not going to go into it any further. I'm going to let you listen to the man himself speak. So grab your pen and paper, get ready, and remember, what's the one thing that you're going to do with what you learned from this episode today? So introducing the incredible Hal Elrod. I am so excited, honored and privileged to be joined today by the incredible Hal Elrod. Welcome, Hal.
Sam, it's good to see you again. It was in person last time.
It was in person last time. We had a great time speaking at an event together, and it was really great to hear your story again. I'm looking forward to sharing it today with some of our listeners who may not know who Hal Elrod is. Guys, you're about to learn some things that are going to literally change your world. They've certainly changed mine and that of many people in the Oxano community. Hal, you're the best-selling author of, as we can see behind you there, for those that are watching this, The Miracle Morning, which has got loads of different versions now. But I want to speak into this today. Before we get into that, do you want to share a little bit about you, who you are, and what got you into this journey? I know that's a really big can of worms to open to start with, but tell us a little bit about Hal.
I'll try to be as succinct as I can. So I always answer first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father. And I think that's important. I think that's often like at the end of the bio, like, they did this and this and this professionally. And oh, by the way, they live with their wife and children in, this town. It's like, no, that's most important to me is everything I do is in service of me supporting my family. my background is when I was 8 years old, I witnessed the death of my baby sister. I woke up on a Saturday morning and my mother was screaming from her bedroom, and I ran across the hall and she was performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on my 18-month-old baby sister, Amory. And Amory died that morning. And within 6 months, of course, my mom and dad were devastated, but they turned, they turn their pain into purpose, if you will. And within 6 months, my mom was leading a support group for other parents who had lost children. And she led that every month for over 10 years. And my dad started a fundraiser to raise money for the hospital. And so I really learned that, when you go through adversity, like you find a way to help other people. And then that creates meaning and purpose. And, the adversity isn't just for naught. 12 years after that, I was in direct sales. I was selling Cutco cutlery, and I was one of their top sales reps. And I gave a speech at a conference for Cutco. And that night, driving home, my car was hit head-on by a drunk driver at 70 miles per hour, which converts to 112 kilometers per hour. And I was found dead at the scene. My heart stopped for 6 minutes. I was in a coma for 6 days. I had 11 broken bones. And when I came out of the coma, I was told I would never walk again. And my mindset was, I'm going to accept my life exactly as it is. I'm not going to waste time wishing this didn't happen or feeling sorry for myself, so I can be totally at peace with it and focus all my energy on defying the odds and figuring out how to walk again. Like if I never walk again, I told my parents, I'll be the happiest person you've ever seen in a wheelchair, because I'm not going to let the external unchangeable things that I can't control dictate my internal reality. So I'm at peace with whatever happens, but I'm also not going to take the doctors saying I'm never going to walk again as my only option. I'm going to maintain faith that I could walk again. I'm going to visualize it. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to put all my energy into that. And 2 weeks after I came out of the coma, 3 weeks after I was found dead at the scene, the doctors came in and said, hey, we don't know how to explain this, but Hal, your body is healing so quickly that we're going to let you take your first step today in therapy. So I took my first step 3 weeks after the night of the crash. And then you fast forward after that, 9 years later was the 2008 financial crash. That is when I found myself kind of at mental and emotional rock bottom and financial rock bottom. And I created this thing that I ended up calling the Miracle Morning, because it changed my life so fast. It felt like a miracle. And then I started teaching it to my clients, and it worked for them like it worked for me. And, now as you see the wall behind me of books, like there's, we've sold over 3 million copies of the Miracle Morning, 1 million copies of the other books. And it's just made an impact in the world that I never really imagined I would. Little old me from my little town that I grew up in, and never imagined I would make. But it's the collective impact by people like you, Sam, that like you implemented the Miracle Morning and then you shared it with other people. And all I did was I implemented the Miracle Morning and I shared it. So it's this word of mouth global phenomenon in over 42 languages, 100 countries. And then last piece I'll share quickly here is I thought all my challenges were over. I'm like, all right, now I'm just going to take the car accident and the financial crash and I'm going to help others. And then in 2016, so almost 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare aggressive form of cancer and given a 30% chance of surviving, 70% chance of dying. And I was given 1 week to live if I didn't start chemotherapy immediately. So I combine the best of chemotherapy with every holistic practice known to humanity. And I defied the odds again, if you will, and survived. And that brings us, to there's a lot in between that, but those are the big milestones that bring us to today.
Yeah. Then into children and all of the things that come with all of that. Hal, the one thing that stands out to me about you, yes, you've written an incredible book that has become a bestseller and changed many lives, and you've been through many things, but I want to just talk about attitude for a little moment and perspective, because, many people would have given up going through a portion of what you've been through at, maybe that very first crossroads with, the car accident. And I want to get an idea of where I suppose that perspective for you came from. Was it something that you just woke up one day and went, I'm going to be the happiest guy in a wheelchair? Or did you have some mentors around you? Or was there a reason that you chose in that really challenging circumstance to have that attitude of, I'm going to make the best of this?
Yeah. I love that question and the way that you asked it, because I absolutely had a mentor. And if it wasn't for the mentor that taught me the lesson that I'll share now, I don't know that I don't know how I would have handled the car accident. I think I would have been like most people and been a victim and like, this isn't fair and I don't deserve this. And why me? Woe is me. And, but a year and a half prior, on the second day of my Cutco sales training, 3-day sales training, day 2, our manager, Jesse Levine, my manager, my mentor, he taught us something called the 5-minute rule. And the way that he framed it, he said, when you're, and you anybody in direct selling can nod their head along as I share this part, which is, he said, when you're in direct sales, you're going to experience more adversity than the average person does in a normal job. He said, the average person might get rejected like once a year, or if ever, you're going to get rejected every day, like multiple times a day on the phone, in person. And, he said the average person occasionally might fail at something, like they might fail to reach their goal for the year. You're going to fail every day. You're going to fail to hit your numbers on the phone and your numbers on appointments and your sales numbers. And then you're going to reach your goal. And then your customer is going to cancel their order and you're going to fail. Like you're going to hit it. And it's like, he said, you've got to have a strategy to be able to quickly move through adversity and keep moving forward so that it doesn't bog you down and cause you to quit. And he said, I call this the 5-minute rule. And when you face adversity, any kind, and this could be traffic, you're driving and you hit traffic. You're like, no, whenever you find yourself disappointed, upset, you set your timer on your phone for 5 minutes and you give yourself 5 minutes to fully feel all the emotions. Get mad, angry, frustrated. Like, don't suppress your emotions. Don't minimize them. Don't diminish them. Don't judge them. Just feel it. It's not fair. I don't deserve it, right? So you're giving yourself 5 minutes to fully release that negative energy that is being generated. And when the timer goes off after 5 minutes, he taught us to say 3 very liberating words. Can't change it. And it's a simple acknowledgement. You can't change what happened 5 minutes ago. So now you have a choice. You can continue to feel sorry for yourself and be upset about it and wish it didn't happen and resist reality and get frustrated. He said, you have to realize, though, that doesn't change anything. It just causes you to suffer. He said, the other option is you accept whatever happened 5 minutes ago, 100%, fully, unconditionally. I can't change it. So the only logical choice I have is to accept it. He said, that doesn't make you happy about it, but it's far more powerful. It allows you to be at peace. Once you accept reality, you're at peace. And to understand that, by the way, you have to understand what causes our emotional pain. It's the opposite of acceptance, resistance. So to the degree that you resist reality and wish something were different that's out of your control, whether it happened 5 minutes ago or 5 months ago or 5 decades ago, right? The pain is not from the thing. And the proof of that is 2 different people can be going through the same exact tragedy or adversity. And person one is resisting it, going, this isn't fair. I don't deserve it. I'm so upset. And as long as they're resisting it, even if it happened 5 years ago, it's not fair. I didn't deserve it. They're suffering because of the resistance. Yeah. Person number 2, you go, hey, you went through the exact same adversity at the exact same time in your life. Are you also emotionally distraught over it like person number 1 is? And they go, yeah, I was, but I just decided to accept it. I can't change it. So I'm choosing to be at peace with it. That's right. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The person number 1 is going to blame the adversity for why they're upset. Yeah. But it's not the adversity. It's the resisting of the adversity, the resisting of reality. And so to put a bow on this whole lesson and story, it was when I came out of the coma, I went, oh, the 5-minute rule applies. And to be honest, I took like 5 days. I had a lot to process, And,
yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm going to guess here that you went through those 5 minutes a lot of times.
And the 5-minute rule, 5 minutes is arbitrary. If it takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the irony is the more you practice it, you get to 5 seconds. Because like I remember once when I set my timer for 5 minutes and I was so upset over this lady that canceled her order, but I had been practicing the 5-minute rule every day for like, a few weeks. And then I go, what am I going to do? And I already knew the answer because I'd asked myself for the last 3 weeks. And I go, all I can do is get on the phone and make more calls to schedule more appointments. And I picked up my phone and there was 4 minutes and 32 seconds left. Like in 28 seconds, I had gotten through all the can't change it. What am I going to do? And I go, what's the point of wasting 4.5 minutes of my life right now when I could just turn the timer off, accept my reality as it is, and go focus on what I can control? So that's the interesting thing. So that's the lesson that I learned at a young age. I practiced it for 1.5 years. So it became ingrained in my thinking where I'm like, I'm not going to waste any of my life wishing I could change something or feeling sorry for myself when it's out of my control. And doing that frees up all of your energy and attention and emotion to focus all of it on whatever you can control to move forward.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I do remember reading about those stories in your book, and but I do have to ask, when it comes to feeling it, I'm very curious to know what that looks like, because I think for a lot of us, it is culturally, for many, many decades, it's been somewhat unacceptable to feel emotion. I believe that we're moving into a time now where, particularly I'm noticing, with a young one, there's a lot more talk now around balancing yourself emotionally, but understanding the importance of feeling emotions and allowing our children to feel their emotions. And it's kind of undoing these really challenging knots that have been tied over many years with previous generations. And so when I hear you talk about, for 5 minutes, just feel it, I'm sitting here going, I reckon there's probably a lot of listeners right now going, so how do I do that part? Is that like yelling and getting angry? Is that like, what is it?
Yeah.
What does feeling it look like? What does feeling it look like for you, Hal?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that as well, because I do give this extreme example and I teach you, like, just if you're angry, get angry, right? But in reality, to me, it looks like this. What am I feeling? And actually getting quiet and sitting in stillness to allow yourself to really feel the emotion, because emotions are literal energy in the body. And the way that you know that is, if you've ever been really angry and you're shaking, why are you shaking? Emotions aren't just thoughts. They're literal feelings in the body. Or if you've ever woken up from a nightmare and your heart is literally beating, like, think about that. Nothing was happening. No one was really chasing you with a knife in your dream. But your emotion was fear. And so your body responds. And so, to me, it's in the beginning, it really depends on the person. If you're used to getting angry or upset or whatever, that's how it might come out. But the difference is you're now conscious of the emotion, right? Like that 5-minute timer is really space for you to elevate your consciousness and be aware of, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What does that mean? Why am I feeling that way? Does this serve me? And to me, every emotion serves a purpose. So fear, right? Like that keeps us safe from, it's primitive, where like when we were, fear of the tiger kept us from getting eaten, right? Like, the problem is we're usually not under threat like that anymore, but our nervous system hasn't fully evolved, and it varies on the person, right? To where we literally are in fight or flight over our spouse yelling at us, you know what I mean? Or traffic or whatever, failure. So that's what it looks like. It really is more of like a curiosity. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? What does it mean? Does it serve me? Right. And to me, that's the point, is the purpose of the emotion. The benefit is to get to a place of understanding and learning, and so that you can move forward. But most people, because they suppress their emotions, they don't actually process them. Like the 5 minutes is to process them. And the first time I did the 5-minute rule, I remember, because I remember many people are probably thinking what I thought, which is like, 5 minutes, that's not enough time. Like, I'm not going to get over it in 5 minutes just because the timer goes off. That's what I thought. And the first time the timer went off, I said it. I was like, I'm still mad. And I hit the snooze button. I'm snooze. Like, I'm still mad. I knew 5 minutes wasn't enough time. And then another 5 minutes went by and it went off, and I wasn't as upset, but I'm like, I need more time. And I set the timer again for 5 more minutes. And it took 15 minutes the first time. But after 15 minutes, the emotion, the energy had kind of died down. And I went, my manager's right. My mentor's right. I can't change it. There's no point in like, what's the point in doing this timer over and over and over? Like, the timer brought awareness to me that I didn't have before. Before, I'd probably shove the emotions down and be like, I don't have time for this, or I'm not supposed to feel this, or men don't cry, or whatever, right? Like, whatever stories, like you said, culturally, whatever stories we have, whatever our parents have told us. But the reality is, emotions are very valuable, and use them when they are used consciously, and they can be very destructive when you are not conscious and they are controlling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so powerful, and it's so great to have a tool, but I think it's really important. You've pointed out the fact that 5 minutes could be less, it could be more. At the end of the day, it's about the activity of feeling and paying attention and allowing yourself to have that time.
And ending with acceptance, right? Like, you have to understand that is the end goal, and that's where, like, can't change it is really kind of the 5 minute rule is just the bridge to can't change it. Like, once you practice it for long enough, like my mom, I had my mom on my podcast a few months ago, and she was like, the can't change it. She goes, Hal, that's changed my life. She said, I can't tell you how often I say that, either to myself or somebody else. Like, but something happens, somebody's really upset, and I go, hey, we can't change it. Let's move on. Right. Like, and so she goes, whenever, that's what keeps me moving forward. So so ultimately 5 minutes is that buffer to feel. But eventually you get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm upset. Here's why, and within like 5 seconds, you can kind of just go, okay, let's move. Like, I can't change that. What can I change? Let's focus on that.
Do you know, it's fascinating you say that, though, because my assumption was that this is something that your mentor taught you, but it was reinforcing a behavior that your parents had already demonstrated to you with the passing of your sister when you were very young. Your parents turned that into a positive action and a positive movement. And you said, they were really upset, they were devastated, but then they decided to do something with it. So it's almost as though your parents were already doing this, but maybe not deliberately, perhaps, or as specifically as what they are now. I love that your mum's like, teaching me that has changed my life. It's totally. Like, wow, but in so many ways, it seems that she may have reinforced that for you.
Well, and I don't know. I really can't speak to that. I'd have to ask my mom in terms of, I don't know that she had accepted Amory's death. I think she actually probably spent years, if not decades, in a state of resistance, wishing and wanting that Amory didn't die, which is, you're like, yeah, of course, that's normal. But then when you understand, that's what perpetuates our pain, is the wishing and wanting that something were different than it actually is. Yeah. And so while my mom proactively turned her pain into purpose and helped others, I don't know that internally, before she learned the can't change it in the 5 minute rule from me, when I taught her after I learned it from Jesse, I don't know. I really don't know. That's a great question for her. Like, when did you make peace with Amory's death? And I'm sure it's not perfect. I'm sure there's moments where just naturally you're like, God, I wish she were still here. And, I don't know that that's unhealthy. It's only unhealthy when you find that it's causing you a lot of suffering that doesn't serve you or anyone else.
And no doubt things come back up too, right? Like, there would have been moments after your accident, during your recovery, where although you had felt it and you had said, I can't change it and I'm going to accept it, there would have been times, I'm guessing, that you woke up one morning and you were like, oh, I feel it bubbling back up and I need to go back through this exercise. Did that happen for you? Was that an exercise you had to keep repeating over time?
I think it's important to think of it that way. Like, can't change it is and the 5 minute rule is a strategy, or you could use the word tool, right? Yeah. And kind of like any tool, I like the word tool in this explanation, because you have to actually use the tool, right? Like a hammer is a tool. And if you're looking at a nail and you're like, oh, why won't you go into the board? Right. So which is similar to like, oh, why is this happening? And then you're like, oh, I have to pick up the hammer and I have to use it. So I have to apply the 5 minute rule. I have to apply can't change it. Right. So we can't always, or we rarely can control the first thought, right? Like the initial thought, feeling, response. It could be one of fear or anger or whatever, but we get to decide what tools we have. And that's where A big part of my work with the Miracle Morning and everything that I teach is like equipping people with tools and strategies that enable them to fulfill the limitless potential that's within each of us to handle the adversity that we all inevitably face, right? And people that don't have tools and strategies, like if I didn't have the 5-minute rule, strategy / tool, I don't know what I would have done. And sadly, most people, aren't reading self-help books and learning this stuff. And then when they face adversity, they're like, I don't know. I can't handle this. I'm not equipped.
What do I do?
Yeah. What do I do? No one, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't think this would happen to me. And now I don't know what to do. And then they're just spiraling out of control.
Before we jump back into the episode, I want to quickly share with you a tool that I created just for you. If you've been feeling a bit like social media feels super overwhelming, I don't know what to do next, and I'm just sick of overthinking it and throwing spaghetti at the wall and waiting to see what sticks. If that feels a little bit like you right now and you aren't getting the results that you want, that's exactly why I wrote my book, Show Up Anyway. Show Up Anyway is a really simple read. I wanted to make this fast and implementable. You'll be able to read it in 1 or 2 quick sittings, but most importantly, every chapter has an action step at the end of it and a process you can follow to get the results that you've been hoping for. So if that sounds a little bit like you can go to the show notes, you can grab a copy there, or of course you can jump onto Amazon and order your copy. It's available in Kindle, it's available as a paperback, and now also in Audible in certain regions. All right, let's get back into the episode. And I think it's really important what you said as well about practicing it. Like you had the opportunity to practice and implement this on small things so that when big things happened, it was like just an instinctive reaction that I've got the tool, I know what to do. It's kind of like with the hammer. If you don't know what the tool does and you don't know how to use the tool, you're going to be staring at that nail going, I get that there's a tool out there somewhere, but I don't know which one to use. And you're looking at the workbench with all the tools going, which one do I pick up? Yeah. So that practicing of it on the little things before you really truly need it for a big thing, I think is really an important part of what you said there. I also want to just reinforce before we move on, because I want to talk about the Miracle Morning, but you've said something really important before, and that was around the feeling it prior to the can't change it. And I think where a lot of us go automatically is to the can't change it part before doing the feel it part. And again, that's that suppressing of emotions, right? So a lot of people would have heard when you were talking about this, the can't change it bit. But I just want to point out that if you don't do the feeling part first, the can't change it part is it's the bit most of us are really good at naturally, because culturally it's what we've been taught to do. Can't change it, stick my head in the sand, move on. But the part to practice is that feeling it part. And I really appreciate you sharing that. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the Miracle Morning. I know obviously about this. I know what your mission is, what your vision is, why you've done this. I would love for you to share a little bit with our audience around, first of all, what the Miracle Morning was designed to help achieve for yourself initially, and then for others once you put it out there and shared it with others.
Yeah, Miracle Morning, it wasn't a book idea. It was my strategy that I came up with in 2008 during the financial crash. I was a coach at the time. I had, I think 14 one-on-one coaching clients, give or take, maybe 12. And when the economy crashed, I lost over half of my clients, therefore half of my income. And, my bills were probably like 80 to 90% of my income. So like now I couldn't pay the bills. Mm-hmm. My house was foreclosed on. My wife and I were drowning in debt, credit card debt, mortgage debt, and everything. And I really was scared. I didn't know what to do. And I could not figure out how to get clients. And a friend of mine turned me on to a Jim Rohn audio, and one quote that Jim Rohn said, which I think I'd even heard before, but never like really got it. It just kind of went in one ear and out the other. It landed differently than anything I'd heard before. And he said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And when I heard that, for whatever reason, my brain quantified it. Okay, I go, my level of success will not exceed my level of personal development. Okay, so what level of success do I want in every area of my life on a scale of 1 to 10? I think the answer is the same for all of us. We want level 10 success. I've never met anyone that says, I don't want to be as financially secure as I can be and as happy as I can be and in as harmonious of a loving relationship as I can be, right? Like as a parent, I want to be the best. We want to be the best that we possibly can in every area of our life. So I went, okay, I want level 10 success, but what's my level of personal development? Because according to Jim Rohn, my level of success is not going to see my level of personal development. And at that time in my life, my level of success was like at a 2. My finances were tanking. I wasn't exercising. I was eating terribly. My mental health was, I was depressed. I was a mess. And when I asked myself what my level of personal development was, the first thing I had to do was Google, what is personal development? I don't quite understand how you would measure that. And the way that I would measure it now or define it is, how you measure your level of personal development is looking at what are the daily rituals and routines you have in place that develop you into a better version of who you were yesterday, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, physically, spiritually, like in every area of your life. What are your daily rituals and routines that develop you into a better version of yourself? And my personal development at the time, I was like, it's a 2. Like, or maybe a 3 on a good day. And I believe that's the disconnect is everybody wants level 10 success. But most people, unless they're a miracle morning practitioner or have some, like similar routines, their level of personal development is very far below where it needs to be. So my epiphany was I have to come up with a daily regimen for personal development to become that level 10 version of me that's capable of creating the level 10 success I want in my life. And I went searching for the one practice, like the best personal development practice I could find, but I couldn't find one. I had a list of 6. It was meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and journaling. And I had this list and I'm looking at it going, okay, well, obviously I can't do all of these. Like, which one is the best? And I kept going back and reading articles and trying to figure it out. And I don't know where, just the insight was like, hey, what if you do all of these? What if I woke up tomorrow a little bit earlier and I did the 6 most timeless, proven personal development practices that the world's most successful people have sworn by for centuries? And I woke up the next morning, I stumbled my way through all 6 of them. Like, I didn't know how to meditate. It was goofy and the affirmations felt kind of cheesy. Like, I'm a money magnet. I'm like, I don't know if that's working, but even doing these practices subpar, something remarkable happened, which is that morning, the anxiety and depression that I had felt for months like faded. And I went, this is it. If I start every day with these practices, I'm only going to get better at them. And the amount of mental clarity and energy and motivation that I feel right now, not to mention what I learned from the books I'm reading, like this is going to take my level of personal development up, and my level of success theoretically will parallel it. And the last part of the story is how fast it happened. I was thinking it would take a year. I'm like, 1 year from now, I can turn things around. I can get my income back to where it was. It was less than 2 months. At the height of the Great Recession, the economy continued to get worse, but I got better. And as I did, within 2 months, I doubled my income. I went from being in the worst shape of my life physically to training for a 52-mile ultra marathon. My depression went away not after 2 months. It went away like day 1, because the depression was from the hopelessness. It was like, I don't know what to do and nothing I'm doing is working. So I don't see a way out of this. And my very first miracle morning, before it was even called that, I went, this is it. And when I doubled my income in the 2 months, I went to my wife. I said, sweetheart, I signed on 2 coaching clients today. She goes, great. I know we need money. I said, no, you don't understand. I just did the math. We've doubled our income in the last 2 months since I started the morning routine. It feels like a miracle. And without skipping a beat, she goes, it's your miracle morning, sweetheart. I go, I like that, miracle morning. And then again, I taught it to my coaching clients. It worked for them, even though most of them were resistant initially. They're like, I'm not a morning person. I'm like, I know, neither was I. Here's how you beat the snooze button, And then that's when I went, well, if it worked for them and it worked for me and none of us were morning people, this could work for anybody. And that's when I decided I've got to write a book. And, that took 3 years, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah.
So I love this. It's so process driven. And I think for many people, it's a system that they need, right? And you came up with a system in that moment. I want to just tackle something you just said, which I think is for most people probably the barrier initially, right? Which a lot of people wouldn't want to admit, but let's face it, it's the snooze button. And you just said I wasn't a morning person, so
Yep.
I already know this because you write about it in the book. But what did you do, and what advice do you give to people who are like, getting out of bed I'm not a morning person. Like, how do I get out of bed? What do I do?
Yeah.
And to that as well, how early do I have to get up? Like, what does this
Yeah.
mean for me, and how do I
Love
bring
that.
this into my life? So
when I was writing the book, my biggest insecurity is, how am I going to convince someone reading this that does not believe they are a morning person or can become one, or maybe they don't want to become one because I don't like mornings. I want to sleep as long as possible. And so I really went into understanding that. And if you think about it, the reason that we don't identify as morning people, I believe for most people, this is my theory, is that most of us were woken up when we were children against our will. Our mom and dad woke us up to go to school every single morning, 5 days a week. And when given the
not
chance,
in nice ways, right?
No, yeah, right. Get out of bed. We're going to be late. And so you think about that. When our brains were developing as young children, and like for, let's say from 5 to 8 to 13 years of our lives, we developed a resistance and a resentment to waking up in the morning. And then when given the chance, we were like rebels, like, it's Saturday, I can sleep all day. It's summer, I'm going to sleep till noon, right? And so then we turn 18, or we leave our parents' home, and we then it's this mindset that we developed as children where we think we don't like waking up early. But when you talk to any of the millions of Miracle Morning practitioners, and I'll get into the tactics in a second, but once they make this shift and they realize, saying I'm not a morning person isn't accurate. It's just a limiting belief that I developed over my childhood and I've continued into adulthood. But once you start doing it, you get addicted to it. You're like, when I wake up before I have to wake up, and instead of waiting last minute, and I take even if it's 10 minutes in the morning, and your miracle morning, there's a 6-minute miracle morning. There's a whole chapter in the book dedicated. That's part of your question, right? How early do you have to wake up? You have to wake up 6 minutes before you have to wake up. Most people do 10, 20, 30, even an hour after you get the hang of it. But once you take that time, and you know this because you're a practitioner, you're like, oh my gosh, I want more of this. I love having this intentional time to sit in silence, to read affirmations, not the goofy kind. In the book, I teach you to create practical, actionable, results-oriented affirmations that will help you achieve your goals. And then reading a book, and then writing your journal, and being in gratitude. These practices have survived thousands of years, and the world's most successful people swear by them because they are game changers. They work. And there's a whole chapter in the book on how to beat the snooze button. I'll give you a few of my favorite practices. One is you set your intention the night before. Think about when you were a kid. Did you celebrate Christmas growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when you were a kid on Christmas, even if you hate mornings and you're like, I hate waking up in the morning, Christmas morning, nobody hates it, right? Every kid. Now, but why? Think about this. You go to bed with a clear picture, an intention for what's going to happen as soon as you open your eyes. You are excited for the morning. I realized, practicing and researching the Miracle Morning on my own, personal experimentation, you can recreate that experience of Christmas morning every single morning by you creating an exciting intention that you're excited to wake up in the morning. And here's the unique thing. Your first thought in the morning, our first thought in the morning, is almost always the last thought we had before bed. So when you were a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for Christmas morning. And as soon as you opened your eyes, your first thought was, it's Christmas. And you think about it. Your biology literally supported the intention you set before bed. You were flooded with adrenaline. It jumped you out of bed. Now compare that with most people's thought before Sunday night. Oh my God, I got to wake up tomorrow. I got to go to work. I got that project. Oh, I don't want to go to, oh my gosh, they're dreading the day. Then first thought when they wake up, their biology supports that. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't want to go to work, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And in the book, I literally give you an affirmation that you can print out and read before bed to set your biology up to start you off in the best way the next morning. And the second thing is moving your alarm clock across the room. That was the game changer for me, because if you can turn your alarm clock off by reaching over to the bedside table while you're half asleep, most of us do it while we don't even remember doing it. We're unconscious. When you have to get out of bed and go to your bathroom counter, turn it off. Now you're upright. Now it's easy. Brush your teeth, drink some water, go so that's another one of the tips to get out. Those are like the bookended of the 5 tips in the book. The first one is set your intention before bed to program your biology to wake up with energy, and then move your alarm clock across the room. So you have to get out of bed to turn it off.
Yeah. Do you know the part that you share in the book that for me was most helpful was actually having everything out ready for the next morning? Because when you get up, you're like, oh my gosh, I could go find clothes. And if you're like me and most parents out there, you've got a whole household of people you don't want to wake up, right? So I got in the habit of laying my clothes out and made them comfortable clothes I was happy to put on and looking forward. If they weren't my day clothes, I wasn't getting dressed for the day. I was just putting on some track pants and a t-shirt or something that was warm and cozy and I felt comfortable in. Had the drink bottle or glass of water out ready, had my book and my notebook sitting there with a nightlight, because here in Tasmania it's dark at that time of the morning. It still is now, and it's 7:45 a.m. It's still dark outside. So, having all those things out the night before meant that I wasn't worried about when I got up, oh, great, now I've got to find the clothes. I got to do that. And that part in itself can take 5-10 minutes if you don't have it ready to roll. Yeah. So it allows you to get up, like you said, only 5 or 10 minutes earlier than what you would have before. And that for most people is doable. And it does make such a massive difference. And you do start to really look forward to it because it's almost that quiet time. I do have a funny story to share with you about this, because I've had to move mine earlier now, because the 2-year-old has discovered that mummy gets up a little bit early to read fun books. And so she started getting up and tapping me on the shoulder. She scared me the first few times she did it. She tapped me on the shoulder and she'd say, Mum, read your book to me, please. And so she'd sit down on my lap and suddenly we're doing the Miracle Morning together, which is great. And I don't mind doing it, but it did mean that I lost some of those exercises that, the quiet time, et cetera, and the visualization. And so I've had to move it, slowly 5 minutes earlier and 5 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier, so that when Addie comes in and taps me on the shoulder, I've already been through most of those exercises. But I've now got kids
an occasional Miracle Morning with your child is so sweet and endearing, but it's like that's your special item. It's like my special time. I'm like, no, why are you awake? Go back to bed.
Yeah, I've actually started, I've been going through lots of books in this time, but my favorite one to go to is the Bible. It's time where I get that time to actually read it. And it can be a hard read, but she's been tapping me on the shoulder saying, Mummy, read me the Bible. And I'm like, this is hilarious, but so beautiful. So, Hal, I just want to really quickly remind people that you've got loads of versions of the Miracle Morning out there. You can see them all up there behind you. I've got the original on my desk here. I actually listened to mine on Audible, though, because I get your voice and it's like you're sharing your stories, and I can listen to it in the car or when I was running, and I found that really helpful. But where should people start? Which book should they pick up? Does it matter? Is it they can start with the entrepreneur's version or the couple's version, or is it really best that everyone starts with the original and then moves on to one of your other options?
Yeah, I recommend the original, and that's often a question that gets asked in the Miracle Morning community. So there's a Facebook group with 360,000 people in it. So there's a lot of interaction. And one of the questions people often ask is like, hey, I'm a real estate agent or I'm in network marketing. Like, which one should I start? And almost everybody answers, get the original, start with the original, and then move on to the others. And because the original is going to it's going to give you the deepest understanding of how to make this work. And then all of the series books, Miracle Morning for Parents and Families, Miracle Morning for network marketers, on and on. They're roughly 30% of the original, like the 30% of the series books are the original books summarized and catered toward that unique niche. And then the next 70% is completely customized content. So there's been a lot of people, though, that, they'll just read one of the series books. That gives them what they need to get started. But if you're looking at doing both, start with the original. And of course, watching the movie, you can watch the Miracle Morning movie for free on YouTube. Yeah. That's also, like, I always say, like, order the book. And then while you're waiting for it, go to YouTube and watch the Miracle Morning movie. That'll get you really fired up for it. And there's the app too. You can download the Miracle Morning app, and there's a whole suite of things to help you with your Miracle Morning.
And I love the app because you can go in there and say, look, today I've got 5 minutes, or today I've got 1 minute, or today I've got 10 minutes. And it will walk you through it. And you've got some beautiful people that have contributed to the app as well. And you'll find your favorites, those voices that really speak to you. But, there's a version for the car. I love that. So, there have been a couple of times where I've gone, the kids have got up or something's happened. I'm like, no, I'm still going to do it. And so I'll listen to it in the car. And of course, the meditation part is an eyes open meditation for that one. But the app is great. I love that you've given people all these resources so that they literally can't fail at this.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. It's like you could feel this sense that you want people to succeed and be this better version of themselves every day. And I love that you say that about yourself. It's this, I want to wake up and every day be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. And that's not moving mountains. That's like that 2 millimeter shift I talk about so often on this podcast. That 1 degree change that over time compounds, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And you've got a website as well that's got a whole bunch of information there as well. Do you want to share what that is? Although we will put that in the show notes for people.
Miraclemorning.com is the hub for all the things. So you can find, that links to all the books. It links to my podcast. It links to, which is called the Achieve Your Goals podcast. That's the only thing that's not the Miracle Morning. And then the movie is there, and, the app you can link to from there. So miraclemorning.com is a great hub, or you can go directly to, Amazon or Audible for the audiobook, or, anywhere online. If you type in Miracle Morning, there's many thousands of different places it'll take you.
Yep. Amazing. Now, I do have 4 questions I'm going to finish up with, Hal. They're my favorite questions of any interview with a special guest. So I'm going to hit these, throw these at you quick fire. First one is, what is one of your favorite books that we could add to our accelerated book list? We've already got Miracle Morning on there. It's several people have given us that one. What's one of yours?
It's called The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. It's a spiritual book disguised as a book about money, because the premise is like that our life revolves around money. But in reality, we are the source of the money that we create. We are the source of everything that we want. I've read the book multiple times. I've listened to the audiobook multiple times. I am a huge fan. And he's a former stand-up comedian. So you're laughing while you're evolving. It's amazing.
I love it. So just quickly, better to listen to this one or read it? What have you done?
Because he's a stand-up comedian. He's so funny, and he goes off on tangents, and yes, I highly recommend the audiobook for The Illusion of Money, but it is so good that I take note. So I did both. I started the audiobook, and I'm like, I can't remember all this. I want to underline and circle. So it's a manual for me that I go back to over and over again.
I love it. So good. All right. So we'll add that one to the list. I'm going to go grab that. That sounds like a great one to listen to. Now, also, your favorite quote.
It's got to be the one that I shared earlier. Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. That's become just foundational in my life. And I realized that what's the key to a successful marriage? Becoming the spouse that you need to be to co-create a successful marriage. What's the key to a successful, being a good parent? You got to become the parent, right? It's literally becoming. What's the key to spirituality? It's becoming the most evolved version of myself that can contribute the most to humanity and the people around me. And so that's my favorite quote.
So good. And if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would that be and why?
I think it would be helping other people heal emotionally, mentally, emotionally, heal their limiting beliefs. And, I guess it's what I try to do through my work, right? But if it was a superpower, I would just be like, boom, you are you now know your full potential and you're living in alignment with it. They're like, wow, thanks. That was easy.
I didn't have to do any work. That's great. I would like you to have that superpower too. That'd be great. Last question. If you could go back in time and say one thing to your past self, what would that be?
Enjoy every moment. I think that at the end of our lives, at least for me, I think when I get back in my life and I look back, I'm going to realize how much of my energy I wasted focusing on things that are out of my control, being upset. Like, when it's like life just happened. Like, if I lived to be 100, it's like 100 years went by. How much of it did you waste focusing on things that were out of your control, wishing you could, being upset, so that's, I would tell my younger self, enjoy every moment. And I'm still working on it. It's like, I have all the tools and strategies, but I'm still human and life is still life. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but I feel like I'm just always like trying to get more and more enjoying every moment and less resisting the things I can't change.
Yeah. So good. Hal, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. This has been awesome. I know we could have kept talking. Well, I certainly could have for ages and peppered you with a bunch more questions, but I really appreciate you serving us, sharing your wisdom. Thank you so much for today.
Sam, thank you. Thanks for all the work that you do. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for having me on. I so appreciate you.
Yeah. And thanks, of course, to our beautiful listeners for tuning in. So great to have you here. We'll see you on the podcast again next week. That's it from us. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode gave you more clarity, courage, or strategy to show up online, please make sure that you subscribe and follow so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And of course, share this message with someone else that might need to hear it. But that's it for us from now. We'll see you next week.